All right.
Kick it off.
I think we should kick it off. Let's do it.
All right. Welcome, all of you wonderful readers out there. We're so excited to have this party today. And I am really excited and honored to be able to introduce Kathleen Donnelly to you. All of you know her and you know her books, but I'm going to do just a little formal introduction just for posterity. Um, Kathleen is an award-winning author of two book series, the National Forest Canine Suspense series and the Colorado Canine Romance series. She's a retired drug dog handler, and she enjoys crafting realism into her stories. She's also a horse trainer and loves spending time with her dog, Boomer, her horse, Nadia, and a cat named Maxine. I'm delighted to get to sit with Kathleen today and have this conversation. And Kathleen, I see you've survived the harried weeks leading up to a book launch.
I have. It's always amazing to me the amount of work that goes into launching a book when you get to this point. So I've survived. I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's fun. It's just a lot of fun. You got to have fun with it.
Yeah, yeah. And you look really good today.
Oh,
So
thanks.
you must have gotten some sleep last night.
I actually did. So, yeah.
Ew. Oh. Now, I have a few questions that I'm going to ask to get us started, but I'm going to keep
Okay.
an eye on the chat. And if anybody wants to ask questions through the chat, you can do that and I'll read them. But Kathleen also wants to visit with you directly today. So, another way you can ask questions would be to use a button down on the bottom of your screen that's labeled React. And if you click that button, you'll find one that says Raise Hand. And the Raise Hand button will bring you to the top of my screen because we've got two screens full of people here.
We do.
and so, and so I'll be able to see you if you use that Raise Hand button. So those are the two ways you can interact with Kathleen. Um, I loved this book, Buried Lies, and
Thank you.
it's number 4 in your National Forest Canine series, Kathleen. And it's been a little while since the first 3 were published. So those of us that love your series have been waiting a while. And we're really ready to go ahead and talk about this book and read it when we can. Before we start talking about Buried Lies, though, kind of tell us a little bit about the series and the main protagonist, Maya.
Sure. So Maya is a U.S. Forest Service law enforcement officer and canine handler. She has a really fun canine named Juniper, a Malinois. Based Juniper's character off of a lot of the dogs I met through our trainers down in Oklahoma. He trained for law enforcement and he usually had a Malinois. He had a German Shepherd. He also had a, giant black Schnauzer of all breeds that he used for some of the law enforcement work. But I really love the Malinois because they just had a great sense of humor. So together, Maya and Juniper have teamed up in a national forest to help keep things safe, but crime keeps happening. So we keep revisiting. So
Yes, the crimes just keep piling up. And
they
Buried
do.
Lies gives us another crime that this team gets to investigate. So please give us an overview of Buried Lies.
Sure. Buried Lies starts out with a body that's found in a forest slash pile. And for anyone who's not familiar with slash piles, in the Rocky Mountains, we have a lot of pine beetle kill dead trees. So the Forest Service, wildland firefighters, or other firefighters go in and they'll cut these trees and create these giant, giant piles. And then they'll burn them come wintertime when the snow is really deep. And I always thought that would be a great place to put a body because, that's This is what happens if you take mountain trips with me. I was like, oh, that's a great place to hide a body. So sure enough, we find one there. And as the investigation continues, they quickly realize that the deceased person is related to Josh, Maya's boyfriend, and the undersheriff of the county there. So it just kicks off there, and Maya has to prove his innocence. And it was a lot of fun trying to figure out how she was going to do that.
I love that you brought in Josh's story this time
Yes.
too. But before we get to Josh, could you tell us a little bit more about Juniper and her behaviors and what inspired you to develop her character this way? You mentioned, the Belgian Malinois that Mackie has trained and how you kind
Yeah.
of learn more about the breed there. So please tell us a little bit more detail about Juniper.
Yeah, they Malinois are intense, high energy dogs. They kind of have a sense of humor too. And I just absolutely loved them. Every time we were down there, our trainer, Mackie, had one. It seemed like going through law enforcement training. And one of the last times we were down there, he had a Malinois named Vader. And he said, "Hey, Kathleen, why don't you put on the bite sleeve?" And I said, "No, I want a bite suit, not a bite sleeve, Mackie." And he said,
Yes.
"Well, that's okay. Vader doesn't like to let go anyways." And that sort of sums up a Malinois. He had been working with Vader on releasing a bite, and the dog loved the bite so much that releasing wasn't really in his vocabulary. So that's where he was at in his training. I think Mackie summed it up the best when he said, when God made Malinois, he wound a bunch of rubber bands as tight as possible and then let go. They they just have a higher energy level than I think almost any breed I've met. Now, all working dogs have a really high energy level. I figured today Boomer would be joining in if I didn't take him on a walk and play with him this morning. So we spent, even though he's retired, he's 9 years old, I had to wear him out a little bit so that he would sleep through this and not be like jumping over the my lap, barking at the window or something like that. And he's a lab. So the
Is he in
Malinois,
the
the
room?
working, what's that?
Is he in the room with you
He
now?
is, well, he's laying down over here napping. So
Oh, very good. Very good.
yes. And he
And
says hi back to you, Jackie.
I'm sorry I interrupted. You were going to say more about Malinois.
Oh, I was gonna say that's just an example of a working dog, and then a Malinois is 10 times that. But they are incredible dogs for law enforcement because of that drive, that energy. They will do anything for their handlers. They're very loyal. Like I said, they have a good sense of humor too. The ones I saw working with Mackie, I mean, Vader didn't let go, and you could tell he thought it was funny that he didn't release the bite. It's not because he was aggressive. He just thought he was having fun, and it's really funny to watch the trainer get upset because you won't release. So they're just a very different breed. And I fell in love with them down at Mackey's. And so I knew when I started this series that Juniper was going to be a Malinois. And girl power. Have to go with girl power, right?
Okay, good, good. Girl power is great.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
had a leader of a search and rescue team that I was interviewing her, and she told me about one of the Malinois in their group. And she said that his handler actually had to really keep an eye on him because he would
Mhm.
literally run himself into the ground,
Yes.
become dehydrated, and not be able to go on. And he
Yeah.
wouldn't stop when he was tired.
Yeah, they don't. They don't. If you want to see what a Malinois is really like, there's two ways to do it without actually getting one because you really don't want one as a pet.
Yeah.
One way is to see the movie Dog. It's a good story too, but I will say they portrayed a Malinois perfectly in that movie. And everything that dog does is accurate. The other thing you can do is get on Instagram and just search Malinois. There's so many videos, and I know AI has become a thing, AI generated, but I can tell you those videos are not AI generated. When you see those dogs doing these crazy things, it is for real.
Yes, yes. Those are real ones.
Yes.
Um, you in my opinion, you are the ultimate expert in writing working dog behavior. But that is because you've had a lot of experience observing and interpreting working dog signals. So could you just tell everybody today a little bit about your background as a drug dog handler?
Sure. I spent 19 years working for Sherlock Holmes Detection Canines as a mystery writer. I wish I could say I came up with our business name, but that honor goes to my business partner. It's such a great name, though. Our goal was to go into schools and help detect the presence of drugs, alcohol, and gunpowder, and using friendly canines deter that presence. It was an amazing career. I learned so much over those 19 years, and every dog was different. Every dog brought different challenges. And it was fun when my business partner read the book. She said, I know which dogs, when you have something kind of real in there, which dog you were thinking of. Even though we never worked a Malinois, it was all labs. I also had a little terrier named Sparky. I called him my undercover agent. He's probably going to show up in a book at some point doing something. He was just the best little dog. And it was funny. He'd walk in and he'd look at everyone like, I'm going to get you. I'm coming to get you. And he was, yes, Anna loves Sparky. Sparky loved you too, Anna. So he was just so, so funny. And I remember one time a officer said to me, "That's not a drug dog." And I said, "Oh, you're going to regret that. You're going to be writing a bunch of paperwork." And I don't know why I said that. It's not like when we went into schools, I would, find tons of stuff. It really wasn't. But sure enough, that day, Sparky managed to he alerted on, I think, three different lockers, and we found something in all three lockers. And by the end of the day, that officer was like, "I'm so sorry." I said, "Well, you have to apologize to Sparky because
Yeah.
he's the one you insulted." So through all that, you learn a lot about body language. You learn a lot about giving the dog commands. I was really lucky to watch training sessions with Mackie with law enforcement canines, with the dual purpose dogs who have more than one job. Our dogs were single purpose. They just went in and found narcotics, but the dual purpose are like Juniper or your fantastic Robo in your series. They track. Yes, we all love Robo too. So they
Thank
track, they find narcotics usually, could be trained to find bombs. One dog would not be trained on all of that. So just so you know. And they're trained to apprehend, which is our polite way of saying biting. And
you.
sometimes they're trained to find evidence, which I think Robo is too, right? Is that right, Margaret? So,
Yes, he finds evidence
okay.
too. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking that both Robo and Juniper are evidence trained. So, and the evidence when you say an evidence trained dog, it's really amazing to me because what that means is if I robbed a store and I was running away and I threw a knife or a gun or a glove or whatever, just threw it into the bushes, as the dog is tracking, they'll say, "Oh, this object is new to the environment." And they'll find those items and they let you know. So, you have there's kind of a debate, but I think you have about 48 hours, depending on the weather, when someone throws evidence out to take the dog out and find that. Now, I read an article online with a bloodhound, and of course, they are the best of the best when it comes to the nose. And I think there was a bloodhound who found some evidence like 2 weeks after the crime. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, One of the officers that I consulted with told me that her dog was actually trained to just find anything that didn't fit into the environment. So it
Yes.
wouldn't really have mattered how long it was there. That was amazing to me. And then
Yeah.
she demonstrated to me with her German Shepherd named Baka, who was also a girl.
Oh,
So
cool.
girl power.
Awesome.
And and she showed me how Baka did that. So it was really delightful. Um,
Yeah.
you have many characters in this book, but it really is Josh's book. And I was
Mhm.
just so glad to get more information about Josh and his
Yeah.
background, and to also see the blooming relationship between Josh and Maya. Um, so I'm kind of afraid to give away spoilers, so I'm going to entrust that to you.
Okay.
I'd like for you to talk a little bit about how Josh gets embroiled in this murder investigation in a way he didn't see coming.
Yeah, so Josh had quite the past, and I sort of felt like through the first three books, well, really the first two, he sort of came across as the perfect Boy Scout, as Maya calls him. But I was like, he's not. And we all have to put our
Mhm.
characters through a tough time. So I thought this is Josh's time, and it'll be fun to explore his past in Chicago. So in this book, I bring back his ex-fiancée. She came into the series in Killer Secrets, and if you haven't read that, you don't necessarily need to read that one for Buried Lies, but it doesn't hurt to get a feel for her. And so she comes back into his life and starts creating havoc. And I'm trying to be careful I don't give too much away, but I know on the back cover they talk about that is who is actually in the slash pile. She is murdered, and of course everyone says he has motive because she's not the most sane person necessarily. She's a little bit there's a reason why she's an ex. So he definitely has some motive, and he was well framed for this murder. And I won't give away more than that, but it was fun to unravel how I was going to frame him, and then how we were going to prove his innocence, and how Maya and Juniper were going to be involved with that, especially
And as
Juniper in this one.
yes, yes, as a reader, it was very fun reading how you did all that and unraveling the investigation and how everything happened. And Maya and Juniper play a very big role in that, of course. And Josh has to play a role in it too. So it's great to see all the working parts that you put together so
Thank
seamlessly.
you.
Um, and then there's a character that I can't remember if he was introduced in book one, but I think he might have been Eric,
Yes.
Maya's biological father. And their relationship is very complicated.
Mhm.
Um, and could you refresh our memories a little bit about Eric?
Sure. Eric actually came in book two in Hunting the Truth.
Okay.
And Maya was adopted by her grandparents. She didn't know who her biological father really was. He was never put on her birth certificate. And then her mother was murdered, and Hunting the Truth is all about that storyline. And we bring in Eric, who I had fun writing him because he really is sort of what I would call that moral gray character. You like him, and he helps Maya and he protects her, but you also find out he has made some very poor choices, and that'll come in more in a future book, in book five, Deadly Revenge. So
Mhm.
we're going to get into that. I don't want to ruin anything there, but
No.
he plays a small part in this book. I felt like I kind of had to bring him in, that he's
Yeah.
around. And it is a very complicated relationship because he has warrants out for his arrest. So, as a law enforcement officer, Maya knows that if she has the chance, she needs to arrest him. But
Mhm.
it's also her father, which is a very hard for her because she didn't know him growing up. She has the opportunity to learn more about her past. And so it's very hard for her to decide what she
Yeah.
really wants out of that. Although Maya is the type of law enforcement officer, she would handcuff her father. So,
Yes. Yes. I
yes.
believe she has before too.
Yes, yes. And he's
Um,
always managed to get away. He's a very
yeah. He's a
smart guy.
wily guy.
He
He,
is.
he's one of those, like you said, one of those borderline characters that we readers still really like, and we can understand why Maya doesn't just wash her hands of him and have nothing more to do with him.
Yeah.
But and again, he pops up in this book in a good way. So
Yes.
again, you know, I kind of like old Eric and like like to
Yeah.
having him around.
I do too.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Now, one of my favorite new characters in this book is Elena. And
Mhm.
I thought you did, I thought you setting her up and bringing him into the story was just a marvelous idea. And maybe you could just talk a little bit about her. She's a real pivotal character, and we actually get into her point of view.
We do. I had a lot of fun writing her. She is a prosecutor out of the Chicago area, and I wanted to get into a little bit of prosecutor corruption because you don't hear about it as often. You hear a lot about perhaps police officers making poor decisions, things like that, but it doesn't seem like it's as advertised. And we had a case here in Colorado in Larimer County. Gosh, it's been probably 20, 30 years now, with a young man who was falsely convicted. And the prosecutors were basically guaranteed to become judges if they could get this conviction. And so they hid evidence. And it did finally come out. It's a Timothy Masters case. If anyone's interested, you can dive in. There's all sorts of stuff on the internet. That always kind of stuck in the back of my head. I actually knew one of the investigators in the case. She was a friend of a friend. She is the reason he is out of jail. She is when DNA finally, he went to prison before DNA was a big thing. And as soon as that technology or that science started, I should say, she got that DNA tested in the case and proved he was not the murderer. And those judges actually were voted out. It's the first time that I can ever think of where you see local judges actually voted out when the ballot came, and there was a big campaign to get them out. So that case has always kind of stuck with me and just prosecutor corruption and issues. And then I have a good friend who's a prosecutor and she's retired now and she was kind enough to chat with me on the phone and tell me some other things. So I created Elena. She became this junior prosecutor who realizes that perhaps there's been some corruption, but as she goes to reveal it, it gets her in a lot of trouble. It was
Oh,
a lot of fun.
yeah. Trouble is your middle name as an author. That's for
Yes.
sure.
I
Your
don't know why I say travel is fun. I'm sure.
yeah,
Maybe I
your
shouldn't be saying
characters never lack for trouble, let me tell you.
that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you, Kathleen, for that
Yeah.
background. I had not heard about that. Um,
Yeah.
your settings also draw the readers right into the story. It's so immersive, and you must have experience in the forests in Colorado. What about that?
Yeah. So my dad, who's with us today, is a retired Forest Service researcher, and he would take us up into the mountains. Both of our parents loved picnics, hikes, all sorts of adventures up there, and it was a lot of fun. And um, I just always have loved the mountains. I also worked the dogs up in Estes Park. And I think when Maya's character really came to me was around 2013. The floods had happened. We had huge floods here in Colorado. They call it the Thousand-Year Flood. It shut down, I mean, it washed out numerous roads in the canyons and the mountains. Estes Park was actually like isolated, like there wasn't a really good way to get there. So the following year it reopened, and to go up and work the dogs, I'd have to give myself quite a bit of time. And I remember the first time, because of the construction, they were reconstructing the road. So I always had to give myself extra time. I knew I was going to be sitting there. And I looked around and it's like, wow, the power of these mountains. They're so beautiful, and yet the post flood, and now if you drove up it you wouldn't know unless you knew the canyon before those floods, but it just the power of mother nature was amazing. So I love the setting of the mountains. And I was sitting in the Big Thompson Canyon. That's the route I took up to Estes. And as Maya's character came to me, every time, you're sitting in road construction just waiting for 30 minutes because they had one way for like 10, 15 miles up this canyon. So you're sitting there for a while. I was like, oh, this character came to me, and that's how she got her last name, actually, was when I was sitting in the Big Thompson Canyon. So we'll give credit to that. So the mountains are amazing. They're beautiful. They're definitely their own character because they can be dangerous. So it's fun to bring them into a book because I can kind of create what I want. I can create beauty. I can make it hard for Juniper to go out and work. I can have a natural disaster happen, so yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah, really great. And I didn't know that's how you came up with Thompson. That's really
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I would take a notebook with me because I knew invariably I always got stuck. I never got in quite, I was usually like the first car at the stop sign.
Yeah.
And I knew I would be sitting there. And so a lot of that book, actually, Chasing Justice, was actually kind of started in the Big Thompson Canyon waiting for the construction. So,
Oh, that is cool.
yeah.
All of us who lived in Colorado at that time and in northern Colorado, I remember that night very, very well. I was about
Mhm.
8 months pregnant, and they came to our neighborhood in LaPorte, Colorado, and woke everybody up and said, "Stand by to be evacuated." So, yep, we all remember the
Yeah.
night the Thompson Canyon flooded. It was a
Well, and that was
terrible.
76. Yeah, that was probably 76. This was actually the 2013 floods
Oh,
where
the
I was.
2013 flood.
Yeah, which
Oh,
that
sorry.
was the Big Thompson Canyon and what Boulder Canyon, Highway 36. I mean, it just seemed like it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. It really was.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a question from Anna and
Yeah.
Anna Donnelly, and it says, "How do you write complex characters that make the reader like and hate the character at the same time?" And that's a great question.
That's a great question. And I hope, Anna, it's okay for me to say this, but that's my niece. I'm so proud of her. She's a future writer. We're gonna be doing a book launch for her one of these days. I'm certain of it. Great question,
Oh,
Anna. I I think the moral gray is a fascinating thing. You can read a lot of different characters. One of my favorite moral gray characters is in the CJ Box books, Nate Romanowski. He's a great he kind of you're rooting for them, but they also have some things that maybe we wouldn't normally do. And you have to understand that motivation. You have to understand why they're doing what they're doing. And that for coming back to this series with Eric, he's doing what he's doing to protect Maya. And we find that out. I mean, that's not too much of a spoiler. I think we figured that out in Hunting the Truth.
right.
So it's finding that line of saying, well, I wouldn't go rob a bank, but this character did it because they need the the money for fill in the blank for something, like that makes me think of like Breaking Bad when, I mean, there was a great in between character, moral gray character with Walter White, where he started making drugs because he had cancer and he wanted to make sure his family was cared for. So it's little things like that, and you'll start seeing it, and then you'll develop your own twist on it. You'll brainstorm your own, and those characters will come to you. So just keep playing with it, Anna.
Yeah, very good. A follow-up to Anna's question from Anna is, how long does it take you to develop an aspect of a book?
Aspect of a book. So by an aspect, Anna, do you mean the like a scene or the whole outline? You can type it back in if you want there.
Or
A
Anna?
scene.
Oh, a scene. Okay.
Okay. So it takes practice. And right now, like this morning, I am working on book 3 in the Colorado Canine series, and I wrote the outline for 3 scenes this morning. Now, when I first started out, it might take me, it took me sometimes a week to get a scene fleshed out. And then I would go back and redo it. It's a learning process. So it does get quicker, it does get easier. So currently, but you have to remember this is going to be my eighth book when it's done. So I'm getting a lot more practice. I'm learning a
Mhm.
lot. I have an amazing agent who has helped me. I have amazing editors who have helped me. So you have that learning curve and it just gets quicker and quicker. But there's no set time. You just go at whatever speed it comes out. Margaret, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, there is a really good book. Um, I have to look up the title. I'll look up the title here in a second. But it talks about developing scenes. Techniques of a Selling Writer by Dwight Swain.
Okay.
It popped
Okay.
into my poor old brain. But it's a good book to kind of help you think about scene development. And there are lots of writing
Mhm.
books out there that address that. So.
Yeah.
And I agree with Kathleen that it doesn't matter how long it takes. It's good to just practice and learn how to do it,
Yeah.
especially in the stage you're at. Now, Kathleen has to write fast at this stage because she has
Yes.
a contract. So,
Yeah, yeah. I think it took me, I started chasing justice in the Big Thompson Canyon. What did I say? 2014, and it came out in 2022. And I was querying Ella Marie in 2020. So yeah, that one took a little while. And then all of a sudden I had a contract and it's like, oh, oh, I can't take
wow,
6 years to write this one.
life changes fast, doesn't
Yes,
it? I
it
love
does.
it. I
Yeah.
love it. I
So
have
just keep
something.
practicing.
I have something here from Dan McCann that I want to read to
Oh,
you. Did you say that the name of the movie was Dog? D-O-G.
yes. Yeah, it's just simply dog. Yep.
And as you know, I'm just getting to know you, but are you still doing any training, whether dogs or horses? And what series are you next working on now that Buried Lies is out on the shelves? I can't wait to read it.
Oh, thanks, Nan. Let's see here. I'm not doing any dog training. In fact, I feel like as Boomer retires, there's less and less training going on. He's getting more and more spoiled. I do still do some stuff with the horses. I give some lessons to some clients, and I still ride a little bit. I wouldn't go back into full-time training. I'm at an age where when you yes, Boomer is training me, Jackie. I just saw that comment. Boomer has me very well trained. So that's who's doing the training in the house. Actually, I think all the animals have me very well trained. The barn cat who moved in, Maxine, has me well trained. Nadia does. Yeah. So so I'd say that's how the training is going. As far as let's see, with the books, where are we at? So Buried Lies just came out. I am doing a final pass. I just received a final pass edit from Karina on Deadly Revenge. That's book five. It'll be out July
Yay!
28th. Yeah, book five in this series. I'll be out July 28th. Um, and then Colorado Canine, right now, the second book in that series is with my editor and I am writing the third one. And so that's why sometimes if you ask about a storyline, I'm like, wait a minute, I have to think about which book. I don't want to give away any spoilers. I have to think about which series, which book, and which character. So it keeps me on my toes. I have a whiteboard downstairs that if that thing ever accidentally got erased, I'd be in so much trouble. So,
Wow. Yeah. Always wonder how you keep it all so straight. It always um, I was in an interview one time and I was asked a question about my current book, and I answered it as if it was the book before. And I had to let the podcaster know that he needed to edit that part out. I was so embarrassed. But yeah,
it's easy to do.
it's easy to do, I think, anyway.
Yes.
Um, so Carl has a question here.
Sure.
It is how do you keep Maya and Juniper growing over several books? And while you think about that, I want to remind people that if you want to ask your questions directly, please just use that raised hand function under the React button.
Great. Let's see, Maya and Juniper. Well, we were just recently talking about this, Margaret, where our books, it came out, Chasing Justice came out in 2022. Now we're in 2026, but in Pinecone Junction years, we've only gone about a year. So that makes it a little easier when you have a working dog. Margaret and I have both said we don't want him to age out before the series is over, that kind of stuff. I know personally when I would get a new dog, it took about a year to really form that partnership. I mean, I would certify with them, I would be working them, but it was a year into that partnership where all of a sudden things would start clicking. And I call it a dance in the book because it really is. It's letting them lead, staying out of their way, direct, but still directing them. So it is kind of like a dance. And so as I work on each book, I think, well, where are Maya and Juniper? And they're getting smoother and smoother. Things are smoothing out. Juniper will always rip up blankets. I think that's become a given in every book. And
Yeah.
in fact, I had a friend who said, I can't wait to see where she rips up the blanket in the next book. So, um, but as far as their partnership, it's going to get stronger and stronger and more solid, which is fun. It's fun to put that real life arc into a character arc between them.
And I have another question from Jackie, but I have to read
Sure.
this comment to you from Steve so you don't miss it because
Gotcha.
he's your brother.
Yes, he is my
Your
brother, everyone.
brother talk. Yes. I
Yes.
think it's amazing that you can write multiple books at the same time. That is a talent. So, hey, remember this moment, Kathleen.
Maybe I should screenshot that.
I think
But thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. So,
that's very nice. So, Jackie's question is, do you anticipate to end the series with Deadly Revenge? Good question, Jackie.
great question. No, not at all. We are under contract for the next two. We can all thank Ella Marie for helping to get that done. I'm so excited. My guess, I don't, we're so far out from turning those in that there's not a release date, but I'm guessing those will head into like 2028 is my guess, 20 late 27, 28 somewhere in there. But I am under contract. They're going to get written. This is not the end. So, yes, very
Oh, I'm
exciting.
so pleased. I am so pleased.
Very exciting.
And yes, so that will make it a 7 book series at the very
It will.
least. At the very
Yeah.
least. You never
Yeah.
know how far that's going to go. That's great.
Yeah. As long as I have the ideas, I want to just keep going. So,
Yes, for sure.
yeah.
Um, we have talked about this before, Kathleen. Police procedurals are
Mhm.
sometimes hard to get the details right. And sometimes
Yes.
we authors decide to deviate from what we know is
Yes.
the true protocol. And sometimes we decide with, it depends kind of on our character. I can remember a
Mhm.
Michael Connelly character. Was it Harry Bosch? Am, I'm, am I getting confused? Is that a Michael Connelly character, Harry Bosch?
Yeah, yeah. Harry
Yeah,
is Michael Connolly. Yeah.
I remember him, Harry, punching out his supervisor one time at the very end.
Yeah.
So sometimes our characters kind of deviate from what they know is right in police.
Yes.
But I know that you work hard to try to make sure your details are right. And how have you developed your consultant contacts over the years?
I've been lucky. I've developed a great network. And in fact, I see one of them on the screen, so I hope he doesn't mind. But John Robinson right there. John is amazing. He's part of a group called Crime Scene Writers. He's FBI. He helps me out. So if I got anything wrong with the FBI, please don't blame John. It is all me because he's had an amazing career and so he is one of our consultants, and actually anyone can write into. If you're a writer, you can use Crime Scene Writer, and I read it. I get the Daily Digest, and John's always answering questions. So thank you, John. Thank you very, very
Thank you.
much. Appreciate that. I because there's so many people. I don't know if anyone else is here. Dee Dan was thinking about hopping on. She was a fellow canine handler with Sherlock Hounds, but more importantly, she worked patrol and canine unit for Fort Collins Police Department. She's fantastic. Dave Lewandowski is a retired chief of police. He helps me out. He and his wife actually moved in not far from us in our neighborhood where we used to live. And when I found out he was a chief of police, I was like, hey, or retired chief of police, can I ask you some questions? And he's been wonderful. I send him these text messages and usually it ends up with get a warrant. It's usually the answer. I asked him once, I'm like, can we just get around getting a warrant? And he said, in real life, no. In your books, you can do whatever you want. I've done a Citizens Academy. That was a lot of fun. Our trainers have both worked law enforcement with canines, so I reach out to them. So I just feel so, I feel like I'm forgetting someone. Oh, a Forest Service officer I was able to connect with, and
Mhm.
he's been fantastic at answering questions. I think he's used to random out of the blue emails from me saying,
Mhm.
and some of that is because sometimes people will say, well, this is what we would do in city police, but I don't know what the Forest Service would do. And of course, Forest Service is an interesting jurisdiction, right, John? It can be federal, it can be sheriff, it can be, I mean, it's a very fascinating versus national parks where they tend to like to just keep it with their investigators and probably the FBI and stuff. If is that correct, John? Do I have that right?
Yeah, that's basically it. It's most of them end up being a joint investigation, but the Bureau tends to want to get in there and take the lead on just about everything, unfortunately. But
Yeah. Well, and it's been great because I have a fun FBI agent in these
uh,
books. So
great.
and he's developed based off of what you've helped me with. And all that being said, sometimes fictional liberty, we just have to have fun with it.
It's all about the enjoyment of the book, not necessarily the factual rendition of the
Yeah.
laws and such. So, it's creativeness is more important, I think, in some degree. But as a person in law enforcement, I always appreciate when someone has gone to the effort, like you have, Kathleen, to
Thank
try and
you.
make it accurate. It makes it much more enjoyable sometimes to read, and you do a great job of it too, to actually take that time.
Well, thank you.
You're
Thank you. And
welcome.
John's writing a book too. So we look forward down the road. We will be reading his books.
Yes, 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 we're working on it.
Yes.
Absolutely. That sounds wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
let us know, and if you do a launch party online, we'll be there.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Kathleen's got the first like 70 pages of it or something that we're going to kind of kick it over, and that's very rough form, but I'm learning
Yeah.
more than anything else, so it's good to do that, and I appreciate all the help she's given me and stuff. Learn from
Oh,
some of
and
the
vice
best,
versa.
Can only
Vice
That's
try.
versa.
that's cool. Very cool. Kathleen, I have a comment from Patricia Sellers, and she says she hopes you attend some of the mystery conventions in the future. And I know you have a
Yeah.
plan to, I believe, so maybe you could put her
Yeah.
mind at rest.
Yeah, I am fingers crossed that everything works out. I am planning on going to BoucherCon in Calgary. So I am looking forward to that. I have my passport and everything. It's all set. So ready to go there. And probably I heard Left Coast Crime, what is it going to be? 2027. I can't believe we're talking that far out already, is going to be in Santa Fe. And I'm there. I love Santa Fe. Just absolutely love Santa Fe. So those are going to be the next two big mystery conventions I'm going to be at. And of course, you can keep up on my events page on my website because there's going to be local events too, although I know that's that doesn't help with non-Colorado. Oh, good. I hope to see you there, Patricia. Awesome. See you in Calgary. Can't wait.
Um, So, yes, so for those of you who are not authors here. The two book conventions that Kathleen mentioned, Left Coast Crime and VoucherCon, are really organized for fans of crime fiction and readers. So go ahead and go to their websites.
Yeah.
Left Coast Crime's easy to find. VoucherCon is spelled Bouchercon. Vouch.
Yeah.
Rhymes.
And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. We get to go and be fans. I mean, like the last BoucherCon I went to, I got my picture with Harlan Coben, and that made my day. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yep. We all turn into fans when we're at that conference. That's for sure.
We do. We do.
Yes. Um, let's see. I don't see any more questions there. If anybody has a
Okay.
question, please feel free to put it in chat or raise your hand. But I have another one to get us started. And
Yeah.
I know Ella Marie made a comment on this too, but one of the things that you do so well is to write these family dynamics. And I know that you really know how to put the fun in dysfunctional when it so it keeps us interested.
Yeah.
Do you have a process for designing your families and their dynamics, or does that just sort of happen? I know it's very organic in your books, but how
Yeah.
about in your planning? How do you make that happen?
Yeah. Well, Jackie's right. Normal family is an oxymoron. And Dad, I think, has his towel at home that says, what is it, Dad? Pretend like we're all just nice and normal. Something along those lines. I think part of it too, honestly, working the canines in the schools when you busted a student, you usually ran into the parents, which was sometimes good, sometimes not as fun. Could get interesting, but you saw these family dynamics, and it was just really fascinating to me. I mean, my business partner busted a kid with marijuana, and she said she was sitting there writing the paperwork. The father came in first, and then mom came in, and I guess she just slapped dad as hard as she could and said, I
Oh,
told you he would find your stash.
oh,
And bring it to school. So, I mean, you just observe. I think when you're a writer, you just observe. And going into those situations, you never knew what you were walking into. You had parents thanking you. I had parents threatening to sue me. I had um, I
yeah,
had all sorts of. So you have all these family dynamics that you see, and I think in some ways they just start coming into the books one way or another. So
yes, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I had a colleague, I worked as a speech pathologist in a hospital at one time, and she said, you know, you really don't realize how dysfunctional families are until someone's really under duress or having a
Yeah.
severe injury or illness like a stroke or a closed head injury. And it all comes out. It just
Yeah.
all comes out. So that's
It
kind
does.
of what your books do for us too. It just all comes out. So
Yeah, and I
really,
try to brainstorm, Oh, sorry. I just I was gonna say I just try to brainstorm what could happen, different scenarios. So
hmm
yeah.
hmm very
Yeah.
cool. Nan McCann has a question. So, Nan, please go right ahead.
Hey, Kathleen. Hi,
Hey,
Margaret.
Nan.
So I may be going to BoucherCon. I'm not sure yet, but I am
Yeah.
going to Mellis and to Thriller Fest. I was
Oh.
wondering if there are other writers out there, if any of y'all are going to either of those or not, or if you do. I'd love to see you there.
Yeah. Yeah. Nan is an author. I won't be going to either of those. I someday I wouldn't mind going to both of them, but there's I just find right now BoucherCon and Left Coast Crime have fit better into my schedule, and it looks like we have a reader who's going to be there, so hopefully you guys can
Yeah,
connect.
Marcia Kennedy. So, please, anyone else that's going, please put your name in the chat and you guys
Yeah.
might be able to connect while you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't be going to either yet either. I did decide to structure my time with going to San Francisco and Calgary, so I'll be
Yeah.
doing that this year.
Yeah.
Those are I'm living in the Pacific Northwest now, and so those are quite a bit closer to home for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than going to New York City, clear across the continent. Anyone else?
Did I see Dan? Dan, did you have your hand up? Yeah. Go for it, Dan.
There I am. So yeah, I'm going to Left Coast Crime for sure, and then
Yay.
maybe Calgary, maybe, but I'm definitely going to Left Coast Crime.
Great.
Awesome.
We'll see you there, Dan.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone, Dan's podcast is Out with Dan. He does the best interviews. So make sure you check it out.
Thank you, Kathleen. That's kind of
Yes.
you.
Well, it's true, Dan.
And I I want to make sure that everyone knows both Dan and Kathleen do wonderful podcasts. I'm a subscriber to both. Dan's is called Out with Dan. Look it up on YouTube or wherever you like to listen to your podcasts. I love
Yeah.
YouTube because it's I can watch it. And
Yeah.
then Kathleen's is sit period, stay period, read period. And there's another, yeah, yeah. So be sure
Yep.
and search for those and subscribe. So we have another question from Anna.
Yeah.
And, what inspires you to create such twisted character dynamics aside from family dynamics? For example, arcs. So yeah, that's a great question.
Oh,
And maybe you could also address story arc for one book as well as your arc for your series.
yeah, that is a great question. Well, let's just start with character arc. So we want a character at the beginning of each book to start, well, by the end, to have a big change. We want to see that arc, that change. With a series, that change might happen a little slower because we have a whole bunch of books. Um, I'm trying to think through how this feels like I could give a course. This feels like a whole course on writing right there. It's such a great question, Anna. So I think every character, you have to figure out how you're going to put them under pressure. I think it was Stephen King, hopefully I have this right, who said you have to put them in a pressure cooker and see what happens. And that's what you're doing. What can you throw? What kind of conflicts can you throw at them? And not just external. There's a lot of great external ones I can do to Maya with the mountains and working Juniper, but also internal. What's going to be hard for her to handle internally, emotionally. And so you have to think through their goals, their motivations, and conflict. And I know I sent you that book, so you can read through it. And I have to say, Margaret was the one who introduced me to goal, motivation, conflict, and it's a wonderful book. And I feel like once I had that, I revised Chasing Justice one more time, and then that's when I started querying it, and all of a sudden, it was getting a lot of the goals, the motivation, the conflict for the characters were really clear. And all of a sudden, I was getting more and more requests from agents, and very lucky that Ella Marie requested the full because I'm so happy to be with her as a partnership there. But yeah, you're thinking through how is your character going to change? There's a lot of questions you're thinking through, but motivation, goals, conflicts, how are they going to change over the course of this book? What are these conflicts gonna, how how is that going to hit them internally, externally? And I think one of the best things you can honestly do is just sit down and read a lot of different books in a lot of different genres, and you'll find what you like, what you don't like. And it's okay to say, oh, I didn't like this author, fill in the blank, or I love this author. We're human, we're subjective. But if you didn't like something and you're learning to write, I would encourage you to figure out what you didn't like about it because that teaches you as much as what you do like. So it's good to read in a lot of different genres. my podcast is I've read more romance and different. Even though I write romantic suspense, it's been more of a pure romance. It's I've read some of those books. There's been lots of different genres, and it's pushed me out of my usual reading. And it's been interesting to see how different genres handle different conflicts. There's just a big learning curve, and honestly, we are lucky in that, like the bookcase behind me, right there is our best way to learn. Just read a lot, see what different authors do. So hopefully that helps. Anna
Yeah, that's
knows where to get a hold of me, so we can talk more about it, Anna.
bet. You bet. That was a good answer too,
Yeah,
Kathleen. Um,
thanks.
I don't want to overlook Carl,
Yes.
since I'm announcing podcasts. So his podcast is pretty new, and it's called Persons of Interest, and he's talking with true crime authors, which is another
Yay.
genre I love to read.
Yeah.
So
Thank you,
you're
Margaret.
almost,
Thank you, Kathleen,
you
for
Yeah.
you're
allowing
so
me
welcome
to announce
to
that here.
overlook
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So we're coming up against the end of our hour, but I wanted
Yeah.
also to recognize Maddie James, who,
Oh, is Maddie on?
um,
So,
what
hi,
kind
Maddie.
yeah, yeah,
Maddie is my website designer, and she does the beautiful, beautiful websites. There she is. Hi, Maddie. So she does amazing author websites. So,
thank you for reading our books. And her question is, do the two of you bounce back stuff off of each other? And if so, what kinds of things?
oh, Margaret and I, do we bounce stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, we beta read for each other, and Margaret's insight is invaluable. And in fact, that's how we got that discussion going on what year our books are actually currently taking place. And because canine laws, especially in Colorado, have shifted a little bit and some changes have happened. So it's like, do you try to follow that or do you leave it as is? I don't know. Do you want to add to that, Margaret? What else? What else am I forgetting? We talk a lot, actually.
We do. And Kathleen's guidance has been invaluable. Even before she started publishing herself, she was a consultant and a friend. So lots
Yeah.
of lots of guidance with each other on plot holes when we beta read for each other, plot holes or police procedure or just the dog procedure, veterinary medicine procedure.
Yeah, that.
It never
Yeah.
ends. So
No,
we always have something to talk about, don't we? And I
we
have
do.
two people who would like to ask a question before we get to the end of this. So
Sure.
Kay Sue Anderson is first on my screen. Kay Sue.
Okay.
I was just writing it out on a chat because I was afraid I was going to have to run out the front door because I have somebody in my garage
Oh,
lifting a whole bunch of boxes that I have to go talk to.
oh, okay.
Anyway, I wanted to say hi to you all and to Marjorie McCowan, who I saw somewhere in a little square on here,
Yeah.
and to tell you that I loved Buried Lives and I loved your last book, Margaret. And the title is now gone away. Die and Cry.
Dying Cry. Thank you, Kay Sue. Yes.
Thanks,
Were
Casey.
terrific. And if the river doesn't rise, I'll see you all in Calgary. So
Okay.
Awesome. Oh, sweet.
anyway, so behave yourselves, keep writing because we're out here waiting for the next book.
Very good.
Stay
Thank
off
you.
of horses, Kathleen. The last time I saw you, you were on a crutch.
Yeah, I've healed well, and I will admit I'm getting back on, but I'm being
Okay,
choosy about who I get on. So
good
it'll.
thought. Margaret, say hi to Charlie for me.
I'll do that. I'll do that. So glad to see you. Thanks for coming. And Ella
Thanks,
Marie
Casey.
has a question or comment she would like to speak. You have the floor.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to say, Margaret, this is like a fun and very informative book launch. So I really learned even more from Kathleen, and I learn from her all the time. I appreciate working with Kathleen. I'm so excited Buried Lies is out to the world. And it just goes to show the amount of work Kathleen puts in researching. And it just came through her knowledge, her experience, the scenery, the family dynamics, everything. It's been a pleasure. And I wanted to make sure I got that in before the time ran out.
Oh, thank
Oh, thank
you.
you so much, Ella Marie. That means so much to me. Thank you.
Yes, that's very nice compliments. And
Yeah.
Kathleen is so deserving of all of them. And Kathleen, we couldn't end this without asking you what we can expect from you next, because you have some upcoming things scheduled. So what's
Yes.
happening in both series next?
Okay, so next up, the next book out is Deadly Revenge. That is book 5 in the National Forest series. It's going to tie up some of these storylines, so don't worry, it's not the end of the series though. It might feel that way because I am tying up some things that have happened, but I just want to promise you it's not the end. I just wanted to get some of these storylines kind of together, and then that'll open up some new adventures for Maya and Juniper and Josh. And Josh has a canine now. He's a human remains detection and search and rescue dog. So we have some fun stories up ahead. And then I'm currently working on, let's see here, the second book in the Colorado Canine series. It just has a working title right now, so I'll just call it the second book. It's with my editor, and I suspect I'll have that in my inbox in a couple weeks, would be my guess. And then I'm currently in the writing process of book 3 in that Colorado Canine series. That'll get turned into the same editor. We'll probably just do a swap in March. And then I will start book 6 in the National Forest series. And that manuscript will be due towards the end of the year. So that'll finish out 2026 for me as far as books. And I don't have release dates for anything beyond Deadly Revenge yet, but I'm sure usually once the book comes back for the first round of edits, I are coming out and stuff. So just stay tuned to the website. Maddie's awesome. As long as I send her the information, she keeps it up to date. And that's probably your best source, or my author newsletter, which you can sign up on my website as well. So yeah, and it is busy, 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 but it's so much fun. So it's really a dream come true to do this. So yeah.
Yes, and you are one productive writer, and so proud of your success. So thanks to everyone for being here, for your support. Yeah. Kathleen, do you have any final words before I end this meeting?
It just means so much to me that all of you took a Saturday afternoon to join and help celebrate. I can't thank you all enough. And Margaret, you have been a longtime mentor. Many drives back and forth to Mystery Writers of America meetings where I asked you a ton of questions. So thank you so much for your help on this journey. And Ella Marie, thank you for everything you've done. But all of the readers out there, you are the ones we really have to thank, because you keep buying the books, and because you buy the books, it keeps the series going. Yep. So I just want to end it on thank you so much. Thank you for the support. Yeah, Rita's holding hers up. Thank you all so much. So yeah.
Oh, very, very good. And it's been such a pleasure to be able to share information with you. Goes both ways.
Yes. And right, Patricia at BoucherCon, I will look for you in the Starbucks line. That's where we seem to run into each other. So
Patricia, I'll look for you in San Francisco. If you're going to be there. We'll touch base. Okay.
All right. Thank you all.
Goodbye. And thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. Thank you all so much.
The end.